Hello, my name is Michael O'Keefe, aka The Movie Wizard. If you enjoy this interview and want to hear more top-notch film industry conversations, please press the thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell to stay in the know. Hello, Dave Meehan. We both host a show on CKCU FM that is alternating weeks from midnight to 2 a.m., so we have that in common.
We do.
So tell my audience about your show and what they expect from your show.
Well, my show is called Just Your Average Radio Show. I've been doing it for, I think, about 4 years now.
Mhm.
And it's, programmer would say it's a general radio show. So it's mostly music. And, I try to get artists or people from the area on just to talk music. And, friends have been on and family have been on for interviews and stuff like that. I find it's a little more engaging to have someone on the show with you and a little more back and forth. That's why I was really interested in this.
Mhm.
So so for the most part, it's general music. It's more modern, contemporary. I get into a little bit of everything. Probably the weirdest I get into is soundtracks from music or movie and TV shows.
Oh, cool.
So that's,
Pause for 1 second. Tell us about that. Tell us about some of the movies and TV shows you get into.
Oh,
that works for my show perfectly.
wow. Okay.
Not the right, I imagine.
I'll start with movies because you're the movie guy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm probably more a sci-fi guy.
Mhm.
Picked up that a long time ago. Probably my favorite movie of all time is Aliens or Alien, depending on
Mhm.
the day of the week. So I can be. I have no problem with action, but I also I have no problem with a slow burn
Mhm.
type sci-fi movie. It's funny. We're trying to put away Christmas decorations here at our place, and Snowpiercer is on TV. So we just kind of had it on in the background, and every now and then you're putting something away, and you just kind of stare at the TV for a while. So 30 minutes goes by, and a little project that should have taken an hour is now turning into a full day job. So so like I said, a little more of the cerebral type, slow burn science fiction. And I think science fiction gets away with that sort of thing because you can have the full-on action science fiction, like Transformers could technically be a sci-fi show, which, full disclosure, I do not enjoy. But so I'm into a little bit of everything. But I enjoy the Marvel universe. I enjoy Pulp Fiction. Probably my earliest wake up moment where, like, wow, movies can be more than just a linear storyline.
Mhm.
So I'm a Tarantino fan. Ridley Scott because of Alien and Blade Runner, things like that. Back to the slow burn. And then TV shows, I'm all over the place. Like these are all just things that are going to pop into my head right now, like Breaking Bad.
Mhm.
I loved the Watchmen TV show
Right.
that was on last year. It was fantastic, and which we could also discuss the soundtrack to a little later because I'm a huge fan of that.
Let's do it.
And so, but I also, a guilty pleasure could be something like Big Bang Theory, which loosely may fall into my sci-fi geekiness.
Okay.
So I'm a little all over the place, and I can just sit down and watch TV at the end of a day, and that's my chill out time, and I'll enjoy something on Netflix or whatever. Probably my biggest shows last year were like The Boys.
I hear The Boys is great.
It's so good, man.
Yeah.
And do yourself a favor and just watch the 2 seasons. The second season, I think, is even better than the first.
Wow.
Carl Urban is fantastic in it. Carl Urban, of course, we know him from Lord of the Rings and McCoy and Star Trek movies. And he's Judge Dredd in the reboot a few years ago. Also fantastic in that. So, yeah, here's how I go down the rabbit hole. Usually with actors is how I'll follow someone. Like I said, watching Snowpiercer, John Hurt, legendary actor from Alien and, the Hellboy movie. And you can just go on and on. V for Vendetta, things like that.
Oh, cool.
Are like, that's the sort of thing, V for Vendetta is, again, it's a slow burn, but there's moments of action, which keep it interesting too. So, man, I'm just all over the place. I'm trying to think what I'm watching right now that's kind of engaging. Kind of did more documentaries lately. we watched 2 seasons of documentary on Netflix called F1 Drive to Survive, which was pretty interesting. And again, there's music on that is a little more generic. It's funny when that's what you pick up on, so things like that. Yeah. So I'm all over the place, but yeah, we can, I can talk.
So let's talk the Mandalorian. Let's get into the Mandalorian.
I can talk Star Wars and Star Trek till I'm blue in the face. Yeah.
Nice. So, all right. So which season of the Mandalorian did you prefer?
Probably this one, second season. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I liked because they started diving more into the building the larger universe that started with Clone Wars animated show, and developed a lot more in Rebels. Like, full disclosure, Rebels is probably my favorite property in the Star Wars universe.
No kidding.
Right now. Yeah.
I've only seen one episode, so I should definitely dive in there.
There are episodes of that show. I think it's like 4 or 5 seasons, and there's episodes in there that are better than some of the movies. Wow. I will say season 2 finale is a highlight. And it's interesting you say that, because
I've seen Clone Wars. I watched that.
I started that in
September. Yeah.
So the gist with Anakin and Ahsoka, like she's his Padawan and all that. And so you can see that, when she left is when he kind of lost that grounding, that connection, which, if you're watching the movies, it is interesting. And if you're watching the movies, you'd think Padme is supposed to be his grounding force and his connection. You know? But that, that's where I could go into and say, here's my problems with the prequels. But yeah, The Mandalorian, I definitely think this second season's has been my favorite because of the introduction of Bo-Katan, and which you should remember from Clone Wars as well. Her story didn't end in the Clone Wars. It developed a bit more in Rebels. Yeah. And Ahsoka was a big part of the first couple seasons of Rebels. So in and out, in almost like a guest star way.
Oh, cool.
So when she showed up, like when you see those 2 lightsabers go across the screen, like I think of the feeling, and you've been online, we talked about the YouTube channels about how people, and I'm sure you've seen the grown men crying on YouTube when Luke showed up. Sorry, spoiler alert, anyone, if you haven't seen it. Showed up in the last few minutes of Mandalorian. That was me, not crying, but that was me when Ahsoka showed up. And like in the previous episode when Bo-Katan said, you got to go find Ahsoka. I'm like, here we go. Like, and that just asked me, I started asking questions. Like when Ahsoka said, where's Thrawn? I'm like, all right, here we go. Here's the building of the universe, which started, you could say it started even after the original trilogy.
Because the 90s.
That's when the books started coming out. More comics started coming out, and crazy character development, and people just having these amazing ideas of how to build this universe. Whereas you watch the movies, it's basically good versus evil. That's it. There's no real spiritualness. There's no real a bigger universe.
I don't know about that. I don't know if there's no spiritualness. Like the Jedi are introduced and everything. Like, there's some pretty like in the ether space samurai stuff.
For sure.
But I definitely agree that like the more like you delve into the world, the more into the weeds you could get.
Yeah.
And it definitely feels more in depth and like a real thing.
Yeah. And coming from, like I said, I was probably more a Star Trek fan growing up because they started as this TV show. So you had seasons to develop this universe. And as the series came along, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and these days with Discovery, which I love.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they have so much to draw on, like so many characters, so many worlds. And then they got into like the deep science and spirituality of things too. So when Clone Wars came along and started getting into that, and then Rebels got into that, and then you start seeing it in the movies a bit more, that's exciting to me. Like in the last trilogy has its ups and downs. I will go on record as to say I loved Last Jedi.
Okay.
And so to me, that's the pinnacle. Last Jedi is the pinnacle of the last series, and kind of went downhill from there.
So you did like episode 9.
It was nice. That was like after all the vitriol that happened after Last Jedi, I went into Skywalker thinking, I may hate this movie, but I'm going to come out and go, that was nice. And that's that. Happened. It was that's pretty much how. And hey, as an action movie, it's fine. And you could throw that in with the original trilogy. I find the acting is on the same level. I find the dialogue, the script itself is kind of all in there. Everything's happening very choppy. Everything's fast. And
my major beef with the sequel trilogy is the lack of a coherent voice. Because I don't love the prequel trilogy, but it is all George Lucas.
It is.
You know, it's like
for
fat
better
guy,
or for worse.
Fat guy, like rich guy, out of touch guy, George Lucas. But still, it's like a unified voice. While the sequel trilogy is like we're doing a soft or actually pretty heavy New Hope remake.
Yeah.
And then it's no, we're not doing that. And then it's like, no, we had to course correct again. So I feel like you said, it's like the acting, the dialogue, it's all Star Wars, but
this is the third one. We're talking about the third one, episode 9. Sorry.
Well, 7, 8, 9. It's all Star Wars and everything, but like it lacks that continuous voice. Because I feel like it's like we're here and then we're over there. Then you know what I mean. I didn't feel like it was like a seamless journey.
And it's interesting you say it, like, because you wonder. Like, what was the decision? Like, JJ did one, and then they gave the second one to Ryan, and then
they threw out George Lucas's treatment.
Yeah.
Have you heard about what that was going to be?
Which one?
Well, he was going to do, like in the 90s, he was going to do, or maybe not the 90s, but I think, after the prequel trilogy, he was going to do a thing where it takes place over a 20-year period after Return of the Jedi. It basically takes off like right after Return of the Jedi, and Darth Maul is now the inheritor, because he's like, well, you know, Palpatine's gone, now it's my time to step out of the underworld and take a bigger role. And he takes on a Padawan named Darth Talon. I don't know if you know this character. She's
that
like
one sounds familiar. That's from like the books.
Yeah, she's like a sexy red Twi'lek.
Yeah. That's right.
Everybody talks about how her looks, unfortunately, but like it was Darth Maul's doing his thing with her, and then Luke is building up his Jedi temple over a 20-year period.
Yeah,
that sounded pretty cool, and maybe it would have sucked, but it would have been George finishing, you know, the hero's journey trilogy of trilogies.
Yeah.
And
sure.
It's almost just wonder what it would have been like, right?
Yeah, and you know, and I'm sorry you asked me about Mandalorian, and this is how I go off on my tangents.
Oh, no, whatever.
And God bless you for being like cool with it.
Yeah.
Because like you talk to normal people who only know the movies, their eyes just glaze over, and
then it's over.
I lose friends. But you know, wonder if George had just said, I'm going to write, and we'll get different directors, like he did with Irwin Kershner, came in for arguably the best Star Wars, right? So, and you know, to finish off where we're going with this, but it's, you know, Last Jedi, I think is a very heir apparent to Empire. I'd say, like I say, I don't mind saying that I really enjoyed Last Jedi. I'm a fan of Rian Johnson. I loved Looper. I love Brick, and those are fantastic movies, and Knives Out, so like thankfully he left Star Wars, kind of ignored everybody hating him, went on and did Knives Out, and which is an amazing movie, and it's a total 180 from what he was doing.
Yeah, definitely.
So but and so I can see where some people, but I just look at little things different. Like, once I was saying to someone the other day about one thing I liked about the last trilogy, the Skywalker trilogy, I guess is what they call it these days, right? I thought the acting was just a step up. Like, they went out and found good actors, and I'd say Adam Driver as Kylo had some amazing scenes. Can't think of any in the third one right now, but one of the things I love, there's a scene I love, and it's after the throne room duel. Him and Rey kill Snoke and fight the guards and everything.
Yeah,
that scene with her and him, and it's like no music, it's just actors acting. And it's just like there is not a scene like that anywhere in Star Wars. I watched, of course, Return of the Jedi and Empire and all that were on ad nauseum over the holidays, so you come in at certain parts and like things where you think this should be such an emotional scene, but the dialogue is so stoic,
wooden,
very wooden. And I love Mark Hamill, but I don't think he's like the greatest actor in the world. I think he's done some amazing things, like with the voice work as Joker and stuff like that. I'm a huge fan of his, but he's no James Earl Jones when it comes to acting. And I'd say, in Empire, that's where Earl Jones as his voice was so, there was so much emotion in his voice even. So I can look back on that and say these are the parts I love, and so I think that's what picks me up when I watch Force Awakens and watch Last Jedi. I just think the acting and the dialogue is so much better. Yeah, and then to get back to what I liked about The Mandalorian, I think that's there too. Like Pedro Pascal is an awesome actor.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Yeah, did you ever watch Narcos?
I saw like a couple episodes, but not enough to have a concrete opinion.
Yeah, I would say watch the first season of Narcos. He's fantastic in it, and of course he was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. And now Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah, he's he's everywhere.
He's everywhere now,
which is awesome. And So and it's interesting. Like you were saying, you haven't watched much of Rebels. And
I saw one episode.
Yeah.
So just
the first episode.
The first episode, yeah.
Yeah. So that's I'll watch that episode just for that reveal towards the end where Kanan and Ezra they're in a firefight and he just turns to him and he goes, "I'm going to let everyone in on the secret." Yeah. And just that scene with the blasters.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm
cool
like that still gives me chills.
Oh, cool.
And that's. Like they up the ante in second, third, fourth season. Like it's just, like I said, there's episodes where, my God, this is better than New Hope. This is better than Return of the Jedi. This is definitely better than the prequels.
Yeah.
So getting back to the Mandalorian, this is when I see things when I saw Ahsoka, when I saw Bo-Katan.
It's cool.
That gave me a bit more of a chill, and then I'm starting to ask questions like, well, what happens now?
Yeah.
Then when Luke showing up at the end was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And it's nice to
I got very emotional for that. That's me personally. I got very emotional with Luke.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe I don't know why I didn't, because I was watching it and going cool and like nice lightsaber movement.
Yeah. There's some interesting stuff online. People were comparing to
Rogue One
and also Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Because when Anakin gets his when he's Vader, he's got some new moves, and he's really slick. He's really, when he's just killing the Separatists or going into the Jedi Temple, like he's really slick, and he's not putting in a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Just like Luke was. In the hallway scene, and another interesting thing with the hallway scene is when Vader is doing it, he's killing breathing, people who are fighting for what they believe in, while Luke is destroying these lifeless robots. Who just have this single
program,
this like bad programming in them, basically.
That's it. No, and I watched that and I saw people comparing it. And I remember in Rogue One too, like one of the quote unquote criticisms by the experts was that, Vader doesn't move like that. It's just like, how could you have him come out and move like he did in A New Hope or even Return of the Jedi?
Yeah,
where it was just a tall guy in a heavy suit.
Right. He still moves pretty slowly in Rogue One.
Yeah, and a heavy suit, and arguably in the late 70s, early 80s, choreography for a fight scene in North America It's just like, okay, this is how you hold a sword.
Yeah.
This is a basic movement. Here's a block,
Mhm.
and then so they just work that out. And I think after Darth Maul came along in Phantom Menace and him and Ewan went at it, you had to up your lightsaber duels. Like
Absolutely.
they had to be. I'm sorry if Vader didn't move like that in Empire and Return of the Jedi. He moves like that now. Like it's that hallway scene with him, like just the hand movements and everything was just.
It's pretty cool.
It didn't take me out. It didn't. I just thought that was a great scene and it made sense to me.
Yeah, definitely.
People, I think, like I say, after a while, you gotta just park it and have a little fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a stickler for continuity too. Like Star Trek there's always a continuity flaw here and there, but you they either address it later or just like, well, that's that.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the Disney Star Wars Investor Day announcements. So did you see the plethora of shows that got announced?
Oh yeah.
So I think the first thing you have to say, like how I felt when I see literally like 10 new projects.
10 shows, eh?
It's just like, well, that's a lot of stuff. and you kind of get sensory overload. But I don't know. Did you spend time diving into specific things? Were there things that stood out for you? Was there one thing that excited you and one thing that seemed kind of lame?
Yeah, I watched the list and and I didn't go into a deep dive too much. I catch a little bit here, and someone will have they'll be interviewing like Rosario Dawson or something.
Yeah,
who plays Ahsoka, and she'll just drop a few tidbits. But to me, so yeah, just going through the list off the top of my head, like Ahsoka is definitely a one up for me. I didn't get if it's a limited series. So it could be like a one-off, and that's that, which is cool. I'd be cool with that. Like,
I know Obi-Wan is going to be like a one-off.
Yeah, obviously, like it's just basically
it's just 8 episodes.
It's just a long movie, right? And that's all you can really get Ewan McGregor locked down for.
Yeah.
So, and I know Hayden Christensen signed on to reprise either Vader or Anakin or both.
Yeah.
So I know he's showing up there somewhere.
He will be doing stuff in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
You will see Hayden. I think actually there's a rumor that you will see him in the Jedi Temple doing Operation whatever the hell, where he's just killing all the Jedi in the temple.
Order 66.
Yeah, doing Order 66, but it's like there's a specific thing in Order 66 called Operation Vulcan, or I don't know what the hell it's called. Not Vulcan, obviously. But
that would be weird. That would be weird.
That would be definitely But it's basically Operation Vulture. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like when he raids the temple, and I really want to see that. That sounds pretty cool to me.
Yeah, all these things, and like I say, I have no problem with that. Like that goes beyond. There's a way to do fan service, and there's a way to not do fan service, and I'm going to rephrase that. There's a way I appreciate a little less fan service. Luke showing up at the end of Mandalorian, I was like, that's nice, but that to me, that's total fan service. That could have been any Jedi showing up, could have been Ezra, could have been, some of the. If you watch Rebels, you'll know there's a few others that this could have been.
Apparently, there were 100 survivors of Order 66.
So there you go. So
but I still think Luke is going to carry. Like, obviously, he carries more weight because.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, but
because if it was like the guy from like Jedi Fallen Order, I don't think you would have much of a visceral audience reaction.
No, but you'd have the reaction like in episode chapter 9, the first episode of this season, Timothy Oliphant's character. That's a character from the books. Aftermath. And people like online were just stoked. Myself and my wife were like, awesome, Timothy Oliphant.
He's cool.
We love Justified.
Is great. Yeah,
just a fantastic show, and he's a fantastic actor. Like I've watched him since like Go and stuff. And so having him there was, to me, that wasn't fan service. That was like, no, here's a continuation of this character, and this guy could come back. Like it's that kind of character.
Yeah, definitely.
So
like, who knew that Bill Burr's character was going to come back?
So shocking. you know, and he's which is seeing him there is hilarious in the first place because
it is
in his stand up he had not nice things to say about like Star Wars fans or just sci-fi fans in general, right? You're all a bunch of goofballs. But it's so seeing him there, and I knew the guy was a good actor because he was on Breaking Bad. He had a recurring role on Breaking Bad, so I knew he had the chops, and I watched his show F for Family on Netflix. So it's you know, having him there when Luke shows up at the end, it was, to me, that was more like, that's nice, but I was more excited about seeing Ahsoka and Bo-Katan because that's the deep dive characters, and where, you know, these characters could go on. I know Katie Sackhoff's not the cheapest actress out there, and so you may only get her once or twice. She won't be like every episode, but I'm going to go on record and saying I hope I don't see Luke again on the Mandalorian.
What if he got his own show?
That would be interesting. You know what? Like, why not? Then
you're the Jedi Temple, right? I think that would be.
Well, then
Grogu's there.
Well, that's it. But are you going to spend the money? Like, I know Disney's got deep pockets, but are they going to do 8 episodes of de-aging Luke?
Well, they're thinking Stan Sebastian.
Oh, sorry, that's right. Yeah, that is uncanny. His resemblance to a young Mark Hamill.
Yeah, they're just trying to get Mark Hamill's blessing, and then they want to go ahead with Stan.
I almost wish they had done that on Mandalorian, anyways, because
I like the. Have you seen these scenes where like the deep fake looks better than de-aging? De-aging's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, and I thought, like, I'm looking at it going, it is good, and it's probably like they're getting better. But I also thought, for God's sakes, Disney, you own Marvel, and they made Robert Downey Jr. look 18 for a good 5 minutes, and I believed it. You know, in Civil War, like I'm like, that's what Robert Downey Jr. looked like, because we've watched him since he was 18 in movies, right? Yeah. So like that was amazing, and I'm like, they could have done, and I'm not the only one. A couple people have just said blatantly, I didn't ask their opinion or anything. They just said he could have looked better, but it was fun, you know. And so if he got his own show, I said, like, if you're gonna do it, do that. Give the man his own show, and to me that would make more sense, and I would be more on board with that than like who's next, a young Harrison Ford.
Well, they already did that, unfortunately. I hope he doesn't come back though, but he probably will, because Lando is getting in a show.
Yes, but it's the
Donald Glover.
But is it actually Lando's, or I thought it was Billy D was actually going to do something?
Billy D is going to narrate it, apparently.
Okay, because I thought,
which I think is really cool. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I love Donald Glover as an actor, and a musician too.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, his role, to me, he was the best part of Solo. It was an okay time. Like I think I enjoyed. It was funny. I was going through your episodes and your list of your
my ranking.
Your ranking of all the movies and stuff and shows, and I thought you could have given a bit more love to Rogue One, but it's fair. You know?
I don't like Rogue One.
Yeah, I love it.
Could I explain why?
Sure. I think you did. I was trying to remember what you said in your show, but go ahead.
But it was my thing is I think there's a way to do like fatalism in Star Wars, and I don't think Rogue One's the way to do it, because those are basically, I describe the cast, like obviously great actors. You know, I'm not knocking the actors themselves, but
again, you had Ben Mendelsohn there, which that guy could, like, I'd watch that guy read the phone book.
Oh, Mads Mikkelsen?
No, Ben Mendelsohn, who played Krennic, and Mads Mikkelsen too. Like that guy is fantastic.
Forrest Whitaker, a lot of great people, but to me they're a bunch of losers. They all just get killed in one movie. And I'm not interested in losers in Star Wars.
Yeah,
you have to, like,
interesting.
You can lose a limb, you can get pushed off a building, but you can have a horrible life even. But you have to have, like, I have to be invested in your story for me to see, like, be interested in this scenario. Yeah. And to me, it's like I get it. Like they were part of the credit scroll in like A New Hope, but so what? So what? People read that and forget about it. And to me, like it was too much. Like we were saying, when you do more movies, books, comics, you get into the weeds of it, and it's great. But sometimes it's not really necessary.
Yeah, and that's why.
In my opinion. Yeah.
And that was my like thing with Solo too. It's like
Yeah.
I don't even know if I was super excited when I heard the news that they were making a movie. I just thought, oh, that might be interesting. And you follow who's in it, and you again, I follow the actors a lot of the time, so I'll go check out their projects. And hearing Donald Glover was in there, and
Woody Harrelson,
Amelia Clarkson.
yeah, she's great.
Yeah, you know, and
I love her character actually in that movie.
Yeah, and Paul Bettany is you know, he's in the Marvel universe, obviously as Vision, but like he's a fantastic actor. Again,
he's excellent.
Another guy I just walk across the street just to see how he did it. But you know, so I'm trying to think where we got into. We were going through the ranking. So
the ranking
of the new shows. So
I put Solo above The Last Jedi because my argument was, if you're gonna, I'm less offended by butchering Han Solo's story than I am butchering Luke's story.
Yeah, the thing, like, you know,
that's just my opinion.
And that's cool.
Yeah,
you're not on
I'm not
Twitter.
A hater.
Well, you're not on Twitter right now sending me evil messages. I don't think. I'm not live anyways. So and that's the main thing. This is why we like a face-to-face conversation, right?
Exactly.
You can have this. And so, but yeah, it's getting back to the list of the new shows. I'm excited with Ahsoka because I think we're going to dive more into the weeds. I doubt you'll see anyone from the original trilogy showing up, because you never know. Is it Ahsoka's story after she left the Jedi Order and before Rebels, or you know, like, could it be that time period? Or
they say it's around the Mandalorian time period.
Yeah, cool enough.
But maybe flashbacks. I don't know. You know.
Yeah, and why not?
It's not out yet.
Because
there's a lot of material to draw on. What was she doing to the original trilogy? Right, that's a big question.
Well, this is it. Well, they kind of answer that in Rebels.
Oh,
so yeah, so.
Oh, well, it's a good reason to watch Rebels then.
Yeah, you may want to get up to speed. And a lot of people, when Bo-Katan showed up and everyone, and she mentions Ahsoka, so people start asking, well, the last time we saw Ahsoka, she was doing this, and it was in Rebels. Mm-hmm. And Dave Filoni came out and said, yeah, but that scene in Rebels, when did that take place? Was it after the Mandalorian?
Ooh.
Or or before the Mandalorian? So, you know, hearing her Ahsoka ask for Thrawn, I'm just like, well, the last time we saw Thrawn, he was doing this on Rebels.
Yeah, right.
So there's like a ton of questions, and
of course,
so like those were all the things. And maybe by the time the last episode came, I was just like looking at all these other things, right?
So Ahsoka is your most anticipated of the announced shows.
I'm going to say that. Also, Castor.
Cassian Andor.
Yeah. So Andor, and like I'm very interested in that. So I don't know how you feel as someone who did not like.
I actually am more interested in that than you might think, because it takes place in an interesting time period.
Yeah. So,
you know, it's probably like 15 years into the Empire.
Yeah.
So that I want to see that time period. I want to see, you know, the other characters. So I could put my reservations aside, you know, and just enjoy the show. But I will tell you, my most anticipated is the Acolytes, because it is.
I vaguely remember hearing about that. Yeah.
It takes place during the High Republic, which we have not seen a series for yet.
Yeah.
Yoda is like 700 or 600 odd years old, and
he's a youngin'.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like during this period where the Jedi believe the Sith are extinct. However, the Acolyte, that's like a term for like an evil apprentice. And it's a female-centric. It was announced to be a High Republic female-centric show, and to me, it's like, well, okay, that doesn't tell me anything. But now it's Sith-oriented, so now I'm very interested in like seeing Sith alchemy and the Sith just like in hiding, and this huge like period of time where they're because when Darth Maul ignites his red lightsaber and Qui-Gon, you know, sees him, that's the first time in 1,000 years a Jedi has seen a Sith. Yeah,
exactly.
So what were they doing during this period? I want to see that. That to me is exciting.
And take yourself back to that in Phantom Menace too, right? Yeah. Like you're seeing that, and if you like, you're hoping as the writers, I'm sure they're I'm sure they were hoping like this is a big moment that you're
Mhm.
seeing a Sith for the first time in a
Yeah.
1,000 years. I don't know if your average moviegoer saw that. They probably just saw cool dual lightsaber,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
and then an amazing lightsaber duel.
Right.
Thanks to Ray
Ray
Park.
Park. Yeah.
So it's now, if you've been reading the books, if you'd been reading the
Mhm.
comics and following along, like, you know, there was no animated shows except
Mhm.
Ewoks and droids by that point.
And they're
you know,
doing another droid
yeah,
show,
yeah, I know.
animated.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
my least anticipated.
Well, I actually, and another one, like getting back into the list.
Yeah, I
One,
have it. I have the
I'm not
list right in front of me.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what? So yeah, Andor
So
and
we can go through all of them. So there's the Bad Batch, which I imagine you're excited for.
you'd think I enjoyed when they showed up in the last season of Clone Wars last year. You know, they were good. Can we make again? Here's kind of where your points about do I care about these people? Like,
Fair enough.
Do I care about this Bad Batch of clone troopers? All have their different personalities and stuff like that.
Well, what
do
I
I
would
care?
say,
Do I care enough about them?
well, we see what I think is sort of interesting. A question that came into my head when I was watching the prequels is how do we go from clones to stormtroopers?
Right.
And I feel like that like when the clones kind of when the Emperor turns on the clones, you know, and Vader turned on the clones, that'll kind of come up. And you know, we know with Rex that you can be a clone and then have that consciousness that you know you shouldn't turn on the Jedi. So will the Bad Batch flip? I don't know. I'm slightly interested.
And you know what?
Care.
I say I don't care, and I'm least interested in this.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I'm gonna watch this show. All right. So.
All right. What about? Sorry. Go.
If I really hated something, I wouldn't watch it.
What about Star Wars Rangers of the New Republic? What do you think of that show, or the potential for that show?
Again, I haven't looked into that enough.
All right, so it takes place right after Return of the Jedi.
Give me the spiel.
And it's right after Return of the Jedi, and I imagine it'll get up to the time period of the Mandalorian, and we'll see Cara Dune and stuff like that because we know she's a marshal, right?
Yeah.
At this point, and we're gonna see what like. To me, it sounds like Miami Vice, but in Star Wars, just like after Return of the Jedi. So I'm kind of down for like some stupid buddy cop show that takes place within the New Republic.
It's funny, and it's funny you said that because there was one of the other shows I was thinking, well, this could be like kind of hokey.
Yeah.
Anyways, go on. Like I said, I'll watch it just to see how they go about it. And I forget, is that one animated or live action?
That one's live action, and it's actually ran by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. And of course, the other one ran by Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and also Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah,
is the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
so
that I'm looking for. Again, here's a character that people loved from the first second they saw him on screen. They wanted to see more of this guy, and you know, we got a taste of him of his origin story basically in the prequels, and so we want to see. It was just this smaller character that was very interesting, and you know, he's this crazy bounty hunter. You want to see more of his life, and so we know how he got there. We know what he's doing now. You know, he got his armor back. I hope they do a flashback episode of him crawling out of the Sarlacc pit or something.
We got to see that. Come on, I absolutely agree.
But
that's a big unanswered question. Did the Krayt Dragon eat the Sarlacc? Did he somehow? I remember in Legends he threw a thermal detonator into it, and got out like that. But like and then Dengar saves the day.
Yeah, and
you read that story with Dengar. Dengar's about to kill. He sees Boba Fett naked outside of the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah,
and Dengar is salty still about Han Solo, how he didn't get that bounty.
Yeah,
and so he starts strangling Boba Fett, about to kill him. And Boba Fett says, like, could you please stop? Like, is there something I could do for you to not kill me? And Dengar says, you can be my best man at my wedding. I don't have any friends. And Boba Fett says, okay, sure.
But that's what I'm like. Well, who else survived that barge explosion? Like,
yeah, it was weird to see Bib Fortuna survive.
that just.
I don't feel like
just-
he would be that creative.
No, and,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, again, to me, that's a little fan service, and I'm like, oh, so and again, took me out of what I was seeing, because like you see the shadow, you're like, oh, it's Boba Fett, he's coming in,
Yeah,
and it'll be interesting, and I'm like, oh, that's the original actor who played him, and
it's actually the guy from the Phantom Menace. It's not the guy from Return of the Jedi.
You're right. Yeah, but and that's all I could think. Is it's like, well, who else survived that? Like,
and he got really fat. I read a comment. He said, "What did Bib eat Jabba while we were gone?"
Hey, well, Buddy who plays Boba could work out a little more too. No.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he was looking.
The suit's a little tight.
He was looking thick for sure.
Yeah,
the guy's like 60.
Oh, I know, but
Yeah.
and still, like it was cool that they brought him back, and it's like he's going to get the chance to tell this story.
Yeah,
and I think, and Ming Na, I love her. Like she as
is it the sniper girl?
Yeah, sorry, thank you.
Yeah,
Forget her name. But
I forget
moment.
the character's name too.
But so she's going to be in it with them, and that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. And again, because here's a spot they've taken, and like let's develop this and let's build it a bit more. Like like Rogue One, but different. Like the Mandalorian. Like everyone, when they announced the Mandalorian, everybody thought that was going to be Boba Fett, right?
Yeah.
That was
I thought it was going to be Boba Fett.
Yeah. Oh, me too. I'm like, well, what other Mandalorian would we care about? But it's interesting, and there's things they did in that first season with Mandalorian, like he never takes his helmet off, and I'm like, what? Well, that's
so
weird.
hokey.
Well, I'm also like,
he's a zealot.
Yeah, well, and that's it. And then and then they develop that storyline, and you realize, oh, well, he's not a true Mandalorian, and because if you watch the Clone Wars and Rebels, they take their helmets off all the time. And there was a thing with the Darksaber to the last scene in the before Luke shows up.
Yeah,
they're talking about the Darksaber, and Din's like, I yield, take it, and Gideon's like, I have to fight for it, and I'm like, question, are we canon or not? Because there's things happened in Rebels.
I know that Bo-Katan is given it. It's stolen from Darth Maul, and it is given to Bo-Katan.
It wasn't even stolen. It wasn't even stolen. It was just like they're like, oh, hey, I know this, and it was that. It wasn't like they fought him for it or anything like that.
But Moff is basically like taunting Bo. He's trying to like create division.
Yeah, but she's looking at it. She's looking at it like, yeah, I do have to fight you, and I'm like, no, you don't. He's giving it to you.
He obviously Moff Gideon beat her up, right?
Oh yeah,
he definitely beat her up and then took it, and then said, "I am the rightful ruler," and like you were a fake ruler to begin with. And he is like, although he's not like a warrior, like he's definitely not force sensitive.
Yeah,
he is like just filled with fury. That guy.
Well, he's like the Stormtroopers in Force Awakens, right? Like they can like the ones that are trained when Finn has the lightsaber duel with one of the Stormtroopers. They know how to move when they want to. They can fight. They're not just bad. They don't just have bad aim all the time. They can use other weapons. So that was just to see Carlos Esposito actually do some kick-ass moves as Gideon.
It was pretty cool.
I was on board with that. So so there's some continuity and plot holes but
for sure. It's a big universe. You can't nail it every time, I guess.
But that's what I want for like season 3. It's just like, well, let's discuss this a bit more. Like, are you actually a Mandalorian or not? Like, are you, and obviously next season's going back to Mandalore because
Din is now the rightful ruler,
which is great.
He's going from a bounty hunter to politician.
Yeah,
see how that works.
Yeah, it's just cabinet meetings. Every episode.
It's just like the Senate in Phantom Menace and the prequel trilogy.
Yeah,
and the Jedi Council
for 8 chapters. But luckily, and I don't know how you thought about this, but like there's a couple. Luckily, some of the episodes will be short. That was one of my complaints with a couple of them of the second season episodes. I'm like, that episode was only 30 minutes long.
Yeah,
I think it was
some of them are like the first one's
chapter
like
6 or
52
something.
minutes.
Not even. There was one I looked. I'm like, why does this feel like so short? And I looked, and they were rolling credits at the 35th minute.
Yeah,
And I'm like, this isn't a half-hour show. This is supposed to be like a 1 hour.
it's never 1
show.
hour. It's never 1 hour. It's only
it's more like 45 minutes.
It's
so
like random. You never know. It's because it's streaming. Like it's kind of weird.
Yeah,
for sure. Because
I
remember the first
I'll always
one.
take a longer episode.
Oh, I definitely prefer a longer episode.
Yeah.
But like the first episode of season 2 is so good with the Crate Dragon.
Oh,
and that's like a mini movie right there. That's 52 minutes.
Yeah, and that's just, that's your diving into more of the Western, North American Western or Italian Western, right? Where it's
absolutely
like the stranger shows up, meets the sheriff.
Yeah.
Who's going to help them out and stuff like that. But, and
I love that they work with the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah.
And we know they are freaking jerks, those guys.
Yeah, they can be.
And it's like, guys, I know they're horrible. Like they are savage. But if we don't work with them, we will not defeat this Crate Dragon.
Yeah.
And your kid might get eaten tomorrow.
Yeah, but it's cool. It was just cool with the sign language and the grunting and stuff like it was like, that's you're touching on fan service, but you're developing those characters that just they're savages, but there's a bit more to them than that they can, they can make a deal when they want to. so that's cool. Yeah.
They're cool.
So the Boba Fett one.
Book of Boba Fett, I think, is an amazing title for a show.
It was interesting. Like, it was surprised. Oh, the Book of Boba Fett. So I guess in the end, this could be, they say it's going to take place in the Mandalore, but are we going to flashback a lot? It's wide open.
Something,
and, like as a sci-fi fan, I'm on board. Do whatever you want. I'll watch it.
Definitely. I think we touched on all the major shows. I don't think we need to get into the nitty-gritty of all those. And we've been talking now for some time. So let's wrap it up. So
right.
Dave, tell us what you got coming up. This broadcast will be, what will it be? The 21st. So
the 20.
Yeah. So what do you got coming up in 2021?
2021? I hope to do more of this. I really enjoyed one of the things, as you know, we had to do as volunteers at the station, had to learn how to do more of our own editing, which I was familiar with anyways. And I'm actually quite happy not going into the station at 11:30 on a Tuesday.
I know what you mean.
In February.
Right.
Free parking's great and all, but so I'd like to do a little more of this. I'd done work at the station before where I had artists call in and then I'd edit it and then play it on the show that night. But something like this, like my show's next week now, and your interview could be on it, but more than likely it'll just be some more new music. But I would like to get in touch with more artists. I already have a few lined up where I'm just going to do Zoom calls with them. And the great thing about volunteering is you get what you put out of it.
Absolutely.
Or put into it. And, it's part of the fun is just talking, meeting new people. And most of the artists I talk to they're the mid-level to lower level musicians who just want to talk about what they do. And they're just happy to talk to anyone. These people are not rich rock stars. So, and you get into the nitty-gritty, and I also just love I try to stay away from like your generic, what are your influences type stuff. It's just like, what do you think? And when we can get into things like art and books and movies and TV shows, that's how
it's rewarding, huh?
It's you get to learn, you get to know the person on the other end of the Zoom call, right? So, which I hope we will as you're going to be on my show.
Yeah.
So it's it'll be a little more of the same, but more bands, but always new music. I'm not much I didn't do a retrospective, my year of 2020 retrospective. Good God, there's enough of those out there. All I want to do is just play music that I enjoy, that I think others will enjoy too. and helps the station out, keeps us on the air.
Mhm.
You know, and that's what we do. And I would say, like, hats off to your show, man. Like, it's fantastic.
Thank you.
You work it. Seeing,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You know, a lot of time when I'll look at your social media and like, my God, that guy's in Toronto interviewing someone. Holy geez, that's working it.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to reach out, because I thought you'd be enthusiastic about talking about movie music, and then when you said, "Hey, let's talk about Star Wars,"
Yeah,
sign me up. So
I like that we could talk for a long time, and we should definitely do it again.
Anytime you want to talk about anything too, like I said, I look at what you're, you know, when you're looking at a review for a movie or something like that, I'm like, that sounds interesting, or I'm like, oh, I saw that, that's cool. And so there's more to me than Star Wars.
Good, beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.